Let's get into chapter 11 of the leadership space. So this chapter is called The Leader's Impact on Performance. What I love about this chapter is it takes everything we've learned and now distills it down to the action world. Like, this whole book has been about like who you're being as a leader, the energy you put out, the mindset and the emotional environment that you generate that has such a powerful impact on your team, and how you can create that pretty much at will and sustain it over time. I mean, that's awesome stuff. But then at the end of the day, like, how does the leader actually impact performance? Like, what is the leader's impact? And what we discover, and this is pretty much the first couple of lines of chapter 11, is that in everything we've learned, what we've discovered is that there is a hidden element that is the key to the leader's impact on their team. And it's that essentially the leader's mindset is having a direct subconscious impact on the team's performance. The team is actually modeling the leader's state of mind. So if you want to have a powerful impact on people, you have to exhibit who you want other people to be, right? And so we can use a more basic term that's been around for a long time, and it's called the principle of modeling. Like, you see this in great leaders, and I talked about Kobe Bryant in there, and I recognize that he's passed on, and I want to give due respect to that. But he really inspired me, as a kid. I don't even remember how old I was. Michael Jordan. I grew up in the 80s, so I watched Jordan, but then in my later years, I was watching Kobe, and I was like, dude, this guy is phenomenal. And I'm like, why is he so phenomenal? Beyond just the talent, like, what is he bringing? And he said himself, he said he had the Mamba mentality, and I don't even know if I can give full justice to it. I have so much respect for that guy, but what he basically said was that he had a will to win, and that will to win came from who he was being, and obviously he would show up and do multiple levels of practice in any given day, and he pushed himself harder, and so he prepared himself. But ultimately, what he modeled for his team was that he had the mindset of a winner. Jordan was like that too. Like, he had the mindset of a winner, and people feed off that. That's what I'm ultimately getting at, is the team is feeding off the leader's mindset and emotional environment. Literally, the team is feeding off of the leader's space or state of consciousness. So the key is you got to be real with yourself. You got to be real that you are leading by example, no matter what. People aren't really listening to what you say. They're watching they're listening to who you be. Okay? And so here's a great story to kind of pull this together. I call it Christy's story in the chapter, and it's a real story. All the stories are real. They're all from real people. And so Christy, and this was a student, actually, I think she was a seminar attendee years ago in one of my, seminars at a corporation. And so she basically realized that although she had studied this stuff for a while, she watched herself kind of get bogged down over time, different changes in the company, different things happening. She stopped practicing creating her leadership space. She stopped practicing creating her mindset and being aware of her emotional environment and her impact on people. And so she got midway through a year, and she's looking at her numbers and her results. She's thinking, dude, what the hell is going on? This ain't working. Like, things are not moving. And she noticed that she was getting more negative, and there was like a deeply sort of sunk, negative mood. And so Christy says, how can I get out of this? And then she realized one day, you know what? It's not my team's fault that things aren't moving. It's my fault. Like, I am the source of the team's energy or lethargy. It's me. And so she took her power back from the circumstance, because she could have been blaming it. She could have took a victim mindset. The market changed, the company changed, the situation changed, people are not doing their work. She could have done that, and then she would have had no power, and she wouldn't be able to make any difference. Her impact on performance, if she took a victim mindset, would have been no impact at all, because she wouldn't have been generating anything or giving anything. But when Christy said, you know what? The buck stops with me. I am the source of the team's lack of performance because I have fallen into a negative mindset and mood. Her impact on performance was negative, but could be instantly shifted to positive the moment she shifted herself to positive. When she shifted her mindset to positive, her emotional environment, her leadership space to positive, boom, it resonated out to the team and created a new possibility for performance of the team. You see what I'm saying? And there's more to it. There's some mechanism I teach in the chapter, and that's why this chapter has the rubber hitting the road. So Christy goes to her team after she decided, I'm going to be a hero. I'm going to have the hero mindset, and I'm going to go to them and make a difference. She sat down one day. This is pretty much directly out of the chapter. I sat down one day, she said, I wrote on a list everything that was going on. I said, all right, I'm going to distill down what are 3 things that I can make move this quarter or this month. She wrote it down, 3 action steps. Boom, I'm going to take it to my team. And here's the key. She sat down with her team and she got real with them. She got authentic. She led by example. And she said, guys, look, I just want to acknowledge the fact that honestly, I've been in a really crappy mood this whole quarter. And I've kind of given up on performance. And frankly, all the changes that have been hitting us have been hitting me really hard. And I feel overwhelmed. Like, I don't know what to do, guys. I feel overwhelmed and I feel kind of powerless in like what's happening here. But you know what? I realized like I gotta get things going here. So I just chose. Like, I got to shift out of a victim mindset into a hero mindset. I got to shift out of a problem focus into a solution focus. I got to shift out of feeling negative and upset and feeling positive and motivated. And I am. And here's what I decided. There's 3 things we're going to do this quarter. 1, 2, 3. And here's what we're going to do. And here's how I suggest we do it. And I'm open to your input. What do you think we can do? Boom. She created real teamwork. Why? Because she got vulnerable. She got real. She revealed her true self as a human being, but watch what she did. She didn't reveal herself as a human being, say, look, I'm the victim. This sucks. Nobody can be inspired by that. She revealed herself as a human being and said, I am overwhelmed. I do feel exhausted. I am concerned. But you know what? I know we're going to do it, but we got to work as a team. She opened herself up and chose to move into the positive mindset, the hero mindset, and that gave her team an opportunity to be real and choose that same way. She modeled what she wanted from her team. Let's open up. Let's get real. Let's let it all hang out. And then let's choose to move forward. And that's what they did. And by being vulnerable, she opened up the space for their contribution to her. And now it's mutual contribution, contribution consciousness, reciprocity, right? Choice, context, contribution. She opened it up. And then from there, they were able to develop action steps, okay? So she modeled how she wanted people to show up, make that, be self-aware, make that choice, and develop plans and develop progress. I hope that conveys. Did that convey? I hope that conveys what a leader can do by being authentic, right? So lead by example, okay? Be authentic, right? But lead the way. In other words, you have to choose the positive mindset, the direction, and then allow other people to contribute back to you. You can't have them do it. You got to do it. All right, so then what? Now what do we do? All right, so once we're kind of on page again, right? We're saying, all right, let's move forward as a team. I don't know what this arrow is that I just created. I don't really like it, okay? So we're moving together as a team. How can we start to concentrate and focus? And I want to introduce to you what I would say would be like the transmission. If the leader is the engine of the car, well, then this process here is like the transmission of the car. This is how we bring everybody together. And I call it the 4 steps of accountability. So I'll just list them briefly. And I've done some other videos here on YouTube or whatever platform you're watching on. There's other videos about these more advanced pieces. So there's more depth. I'm just going to give you an overview, right? So 4 steps of accountability. How do we put this together? And this is what Christy did. So first thing is we have to have clear expectations. If you want people to, be powerful and be motivated, they got to know what to do, and it's got to be clear. So this is the what. And so she developed that. What are we going to do to solve these problems? How are we going to effectively execute 1, 2, 3? She laid it out there. That was a clear expectation. But she also let them communicate with her and buy in. And that goes to the second step, which is called authentic alignment. Right? This has to do with the why. Why are we doing what we're doing? And let people weigh in so that they can get their energy, their emotion into it. See, this is about creating clarity. This is about the mind, clarity of mind. This is about creating care, the care of the heart, okay? And I can't go into too much detail here because of time, but there's other videos where we'll go into a lot more detail about this point. But here's the takeaway here. As a leader, you're modeling the way. And it's important to create clarity for people, and it's important to create care. Why? Because you want to lead the full human being. You want to lead the mind, speak to the head, and you want to lead the heart, speak to the heart, the emotional side. And that's important. When you learn how to do that, you'll discover that your communication is really effective because people are really listening, because you're really paying attention to the full needs of your team. Let's continue. The third step. Okay, we call this definite execution. So think about it. If that's the what, that's the why, what would this be? Right? You see it? This is the how. And so in a sense, you could say, well, there's clarity here, the what. Then there's also, again, clarity here, the how. And then so let's complete this. The fourth would be, you can call it a couple different things, but let's call it absolute follow-up, which means follow-up that's definitely going to happen. And what would that be? Not the what, not the why, not the how, but the when. Right? And when do you follow up as a leader? You don't follow up after, get this done by December 1st. On December 2nd, checking in. No. It's too late. Get this done by December 1st, noon. Check in on, November 26th or 27th, maybe right after Thanksgiving. How you doing on that December 1st goal? Do you need anything from me? Be of service. Lead by example. How can I help you? When you follow up ahead of the game, you give your teammate the opportunity to reach out for help. You give yourself the opportunity to drive the team. And look what this does. It's not really clarity again. It's if I'm following up and I am trying to help you, what does it say about me to you? It says, I care about you, right? So that's care again. There's the heart again. So you can see here, there's clarity, care, and care. And that's powerful, right? And that's happening in the background of who you're being. Hey, I care about you as my teammate. I want to give you clarity. And let me finish with this last major point from the chapter. And I don't want the video to go too long, but this is a powerful point, and it has to do with the power of confident expectations, or the power of positive belief. And I tell in the story just a very brief story about something called the Pygmalion effect. The Pygmalion effect is a real scientific principle that basically says people will live into your positive expectations of them. Or conversely, the Gollum effect, people will live into your negative expectations of them. So the way you see people, if you expect the best, you're going to bring the best. If you expect the worst, you're probably going to bring out the worst or a lower level of performance. And the brief story goes something like this. There's a teacher in a school system, and she's a math teacher. And so she had to leave for the semester, and a substitute came in. And so the principal says to the substitute, hey, listen, I just wanted to tell you that, I'm really hoping to do a great job with these guys. We've got standardized testing coming up, and, they're about the intermediate level. And so just do your best. If you need anything from me, I'll help you. But just try to get their scores, just get them a little above average. Let's keep this going. And the teacher's like, okay, no problem. She starts working with them, and she's noticing that the kids aren't doing quite as well as she wants them to. And she's thinking, well, they're the intermediate level. They should really understand this. Let me think, how could I make sure they get it? And she started to try to teach a little better, use better examples, really kind of work with them on the details of their homework. And so she actually is pretty effective, and she gets them to about average, not even above average, but about average, for that level of that age of learning. And so at the end of the year, the principal comes by and he says to the teacher, the substitute, he says, hey, you did a great job with these kids. Really impressed. And she's like, well, what are you talking about? I didn't even get them to past average. And he says, well, that's okay, because that was the remedial group of students. And she goes, oh, whoa, no wonder they were struggling. That was remedial? Yeah. And he says, I think you're a great teacher. Why don't you come work for the school next year? Maybe I give you a job. And she's like, okay, great. She expected them to do better, and so they rose to the occasion and were able to accomplish something better. Why? Because the leader's impact on performance is the leader sets the tone for performance, sets the background belief of what's possible, sets the background belief of who are we and what can we accomplish and what can we do. And that is the incredible power of what it means to be a leader. When you really stand for people, when you really stand for something, and you're coming from your heart and you're coming from who you're being, you will have a powerful impact, because that's our ability as humans. We have that gift to impact each other. And the key is we first have to impact ourselves. We have to choose who we're going to be for others, and then we can give that in everything we do. And that's the key to chapter 11.